And welcome back to the Part-Time Otaku podcast. My name is Grant.
My name is Dave.
If it's your first time listening, we are a anime-only, manga spoiler-free podcast. This week we were talking about My Hero Academia, the fourth battle in the ongoing saga this season. Dave, the episode we've been waiting for is here.
They delivered the goods.
Yeah.
We've been saying every episode leading up to the season, like, they better not fuck up the Bakugo episode.
Exactly.
And they did not.
And honestly, that was the thing, like, coming out of the end of it, the Bakugo thing was, it was very nice. I was very glad to see that.
Mm-hmm.
But how clutch was just a one episode cleanup. That
was nice.
It was refreshing.
It was
refreshing.
Much needed, I think. So much so that it inspired our thumbnail for today's episode.
Absolutely. So perfect segue there. So shout out to Accountant Total on Reddit for the Bakugo thumbnail. Again, rinse and repeat. Unreal art every week. Thank you guys for letting us use that.
Reddit community, all these communities that we keep finding and joining as we do this, really, really just awestruck by the amount of talented people that are out there. Even just like color in ones, complete fan art remakes, people doing their own art style that are inspired by animes that we watch. It's all very cool. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, right on. So we'll just jump right into the synopsis. Bakugo shows a different side of himself in the fourth team match as the class battles continue. I'm just going to take the mic on this one, Dave. I fucking love this episode. This is honestly it's so funny because for anyone that listened to the post show last week, right off the top, we kind of not aired our grievances, but I think you and I we're just getting a little bit tired of the format this season.
Yeah, I mean, we also, on the post show, we just sort of talked about what My Hero Academia is kind of going up against right now in other anime. And like other anime, like it's just a really good time to be an anime fan right now.
Absolutely.
And if you're lacking at all, you can feel it a little bit. Some of these episodes have been, a little repetitive. Not that we're not loving it. Obviously we're fans. Here we are.
Yep.
But yeah, I think everybody, probably had high expectations or high hopes for a Bakugo episode.
Yeah.
And I think that they knew that, and they did a really good job with this one.
And it was good too. Like it was just like a perfectly wrapped package. It was quick. It was in and out. It was funny where it needed to be funny. It was action packed where it needed to be action packed. It was, it had those Sakuga moments. Not quite as much as last episode, funny enough, but it's like, I don't know. I think it's exactly maybe you and I as fans, but I think is like maybe everyone's general consensus of the season so far is they needed just like a quick, it's almost like a splash of water on the face. Like just kind of. Let's do a reset before we get to the big stuff, because Midori is next, obviously. So, like, I think that's where the next few episodes are going to be, majority of the time, is going to be put towards. So
yeah, I have a feeling the Midoriya arc or battle might take, 2 or 3 episodes, maybe more.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so the episode opens up to Class B, evaluating the matchups. We get more of that, more conversation between the teams leading into the battles, which is kind of nice. I feel like the first 2 battles was just jumping into it, and then you got some like quick little flashbacks into like the prior to the match kind of thing. So it's nice to see them. Again, we're seeing more Class B communicating and all that, and they seem to have a plan going forward, and that seems to be the MO of Class B.
Yeah, Aizawa actually remarks on that at one point. He actually says, Class B seems to be doing a relatively better job of kind of evaluating their matchup, thinking about strategies beforehand.
Yeah,
they've kind of put Class A on the back foot. At least it feels like they're doing that early on in every matchup. You know what I mean? Like Class A is kind of reacting to these counters that Class B keeps throwing up. I think it's maybe because, like we've talked about, like Class B, when you're in first place, you kind of always have a target on your back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Class B has been watching Class A for a long time, probably with some resentment.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think, they came prepared. And that's one of the first things they say, Class B says. Like, this particular composition Class A has, Bakugo's team, is a pretty strong team. It's pretty well-balanced.
Yeah.
So they came prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny, too, because when the episode opens up, they really kind of subtly show that like Bakugo is, he is the powerhouse, and you have like a bunch of nobodies in the crew.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that's not the case as the episode goes on. Like, it's kind of like like the fake out of the episode. But it's so funny. You never, even with them getting their moments through the episode, they really like right off the top show like, oh, it's just like they don't even Bakugo doesn't even call her by her real name.
He keeps calling Jiro Ears. I love that.
Yeah. And even like the tape guy, and then Sugar Rush, like I think they might be in like the bottom tier of or not bottom tier, but like of the least words spoken of the cast so far. And even then, like in their episode, they have this moment to shine, and none of them, they get like less than 20 words,
Yeah, Tape Guy has like a long sequence that you feel like they're kind of stretching just to give him some screen time.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I think Sugar Rush had like the shittiest end of the stick in this whole matchup. He next to no lines. He has some cool moments, obviously. But
so how did you think this was gonna go when they give you that misdirect at the beginning of Bakugo kind of charging forward, calling people the wrong names, just being like, this is how it's gonna be, no discussion. Like, did you think he was gonna fuck it up?
No, I don't think so, because they kind of, you know how you and I were had problems with was it the Momo episode where they set a scene up, but then they immediately hit you with a flashback, and we're like, oh, okay, well, it's obviously not going to go wrong. Like, there's going to be a moment. They kind of did like a half measure version of that, because when he is barking orders at them, he leads with like the line of, and I'll save you, like I'll protect you guys, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it cuts off, but it's clearly cut off. Like, they make it, obviously I noticed this like on a rewatch, but it's set up for him to continue the conversation.
Right.
Like there's more.
They don't
so it's
show
like,
you the end.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay, maybe he is, and just the fact that he said like, I'm gonna save you guys, and it's normally, I feel like that never would have been said. So they kind of, it wasn't so much as a spoiler or like kind of ruined the flow, just kind of teased of what was to come, which was nice.
A small tip of the cap there is the fact that he gives them support items.
Yes.
Like, he gives them all grenades with his, glycerin, nitroglycerin, whatever it is. I don't know if he's done that in the past. Maybe he has. I don't know if he's given it to other people.
Not that I recall.
Yeah, so that was an interesting moment. I did think, though, at first, I gotta say, I was like, God damn it, this is gonna go exactly like it's been going. Like, we kind of, like when this lizard chick on Class B splits herself up in order to confuse Jiro. Mm-hmm. I was like, ah, fuck. Like, we're all, like, we're charging in without, we don't feel super unified on a plan. We're charging in because Bakugo says so. Jiro's supposed to do her thing, and immediately her thing fails because they've anticipated that they're going to use her.
Yes.
Right? So for a sec there, once they confused her with the lizard lady splitting herself up, and then the glue guy dropping the pipes on them.
Oh, or the bug guy cutting the pipes. Well, because it was like a 4-point attack, right?
Yeah,
like
it all happened very fast. I was like, oh, there's this coordinated push from Class B.
Yeah, I really did like when I feel bad, I forget his name, but the tape guy, like, he kind of sets up like a defense, like a perimeter for themselves, and then the glue guy like uses his quirk against them by combining them too. Also, like, I read something on Reddit that I had never thought of, or I didn't think of, but like, this is the ultimate competition of like, what's better, glue or tape?
Dude, I didn't think of that till just now. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I should look that up later, and I'll edit in, shout out that guy. I thought that was fucking hilarious. But that was cool. Like, it was cool to see two teams of like kind of like tech, kind of tech based teams. Like, they have one, like Bakugo's obviously like a combat player, but. Mm-hmm. It was just really cool to see them like quickly react and have a plan and counteract them. But then, of course, Bakugo comes in with the quick save, and his animation. Moment. Do you know what I was thinking of watching this episode? It was like watching Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah.
The way he moves, and like, because obviously like he uses like his, and that's the weird thing too. I've never noticed his movement, the way he uses his hands. There's one point when they first see the enemy team, when they first engage, and at first I thought he was putting his hand out to shoot, but he was doing that to stop his momentum and land on the pipe.
Yeah. And
I was like, oh, like,
I feel like we got a lot more of that this episode.
Yeah.
But I've seen him do that in the past. Like, that definitely isn't out of nowhere, but they took special care to highlight how mobile he is.
Yeah.
And that he's like very adept at using his quirk to move around super fast.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like that was really cool, because he's kind of a clutch character, right? Because he's so
Absolutely.
fast.
Yeah.
But you could feel like maybe in the past he may have used that opening to attack Class B.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, and try and take one or two of them out. But he, it felt like he made a very specific choice to go on the defensive and save his team. Because then he doubles down and he saves Jiro, right? And so he makes 2 quick saves in super fast succession, and then he goes on the offensive and he attacks the guy with the blades.
And then that's where it cuts to that line where it continues that conversation that you had at the beginning of before the beginning of the match of saving people to win, and then winning by saving people kind of thing.
Yeah, they cut to Midoriya and All Might being like, gosh, like look at him go,
this fucking guy. But that's the thing too. And then it just shows like Bakugo, like a hero, instilled confidence in his team.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, and the first thing I thought of was Bakugo's role was similar to a pro hero with their company. I forget how that whole dynamic is one of the things I know about the least in the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, the leader has like subordinates and whatnot, who are also pro heroes, but like they're there to assist based on their abilities to the hero, right? Even like they're all heroes, obviously, but it's usually like a top 10 guy or whatever. They have their own companies and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just the similar dynamic, like where Bakugo was the powerhouse, was the the lance going into battle, and then they were the shield behind him. And it was like, they're really, really setting him up to be a pro hero, obviously, it's this was his moment, and I'm so glad they didn't fuck it up. I'm so glad they didn't fuck this up.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a, we've talked a lot about how this show, especially this arc in particular, one of the things it is doing well is consistently throwing reversals at you. Every time you think one team has the upper hand, the other team quickly counters.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes that's Class B countering Class A because they know so much about them at this point, it feels like. Mm-hmm. And, this is kind of this theme of this whole fight, is that everyone was kind of counting on Bakugo, including us, to fuck it up. You know what I mean? To kind of play for himself, try and be, really focused on winning as an individual and not so much as a team member. And he surprised everybody by being a really, really good team player.
Yeah.
And I love, too, that he's still himself, right? He didn't lose anything in that transition. I love that he calls his shot after he saves Jiro and all that. And he says, we're going to win 4-0, no injuries.
Yeah, no injuries. That's true power, which I thought was I know the saving people to win line is probably going to get most of the headlines and all that. Mm-hmm. But just him knowing that, winning and no one getting hurt, and I was like, that's a fucking hero. Like,
yeah,
good for you, dude.
He still wants to win with dominance.
Yeah.
Right? Because so much of this, obviously, coming from the whole pro hero angle, and his character is developing that way. But you can tell, he's still super competitive, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, in evolving the way that he did, he hasn't. He's still very much himself. Anyway, that was that first sequence. I was like, oh shit, this is gonna go differently, or not shit, but I was like, oh damn, this is going differently than how I thought it would. Mm-hmm. And
I will say, the whole, not the theme, but a big point of the episode is how fast everything happens.
Yeah.
It all, if there's one minor thing I have with this episode, is it almost went too fast. Mm-hmm. He's very hard to keep eyes on the screen sometimes, and that is also a thing with a show with so many characters. Sometimes it's a little hard to keep up. There's just a lot of people talking in quick succession, especially in a battle kind of scenario. And especially around this point of the episode, it was like, okay, where are we going? Who's talking here? It seemed a little all over the place.
Yeah, this is also a anime. I don't know if trope is the right word, but this thing that you get a lot of the time in anime is in the middle of an action sequence, you get action, and then 2 straight minutes of a character involved in the action sequence talking to you about the action sequence. You know what I mean? They cut to you, or they cut to Bakugo, and then they'll then cut to Class B talking about how they're surprised about the fight that is currently happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that takes a lot of the heat out of it sometimes. And I'm sure there's a myriad of reasons, right? One, you can't actually have them talking mid-action sequence because that would just fuck everything up. And like you need to get exposition, character development, and like some plot out, so you have to kind of break them up separately. But yeah, that was kind of weird because like it affects the pacing, right? Bakugo is like zooming all over the place in these crazy action scenes, and then we have like 2 minutes of dialogue, and then more action, and then like more super fast action, and then like another 2 minutes of dialogue talking about that. The dialogue that comes up after this is Class B kind of regrouping and being like, okay, didn't see that coming, but we'll retreat, regroup, and ambush again.
No time for that.
Yeah.
No time.
I thought this was pretty, these reversals worked out well. Bakugo goes charging in like a fucking madman. He gets caught.
Yeah.
He's not invincible, right? Like,
no, it's true.
His intense aggression kind of costs him. And this welder guy from Class B, welds him up, I guess.
Yeah. Good catch, though. Good timing on that guy's part. I feel like out of anyone on Class B, like, obviously, like, the lizard girl, but the welder dude gave him the most trouble. Like, it was momentary, mind you, but, like, he was the most effective at, he was like a quick stop to the speed of the episode,
Yeah. He had some individual moments. It's not to say that they weren't without teamwork, because, like, they had some moments, that first assault looked pretty organized and coordinated, but they could just not keep up afterwards because Sugar Rush has his moment, right? He says his patented Sugar Rush.
Yeah. That's all you get, buddy.
And then he saves Bakugo and he's like, all right, you can go have the rest of the episode now.
Yeah, here I'll hand you the baton back. Thank God, though. I know it's like it fits his character and his outfit well, but I cannot stand those grenades on Bakugo, on his hands.
Oh,
I think they're so silly. I think they're so
his costume.
Yeah, I think they're so silly looking. And when those break off, when Sugar Rush frees him, I was like, here we go. And now he looks dope. you know, like he's got a cool outfit.
He does have a cool outfit. The grenades are a little much, though. I agree.
Yeah.
What happens then? Sugar Rush frees Bakugo. Oh, right. Then he goes right after. This is again breakneck speed, right?
Yeah.
He goes right after Welder. There's some really, really cool. Animation here. I'm trying to remember who Bakugo hits first, because he gets the welder guy and then he engages the glue guy like immediately after. But he shows up on the welder guy and you think he's gonna like focus on putting this guy down, and then he kind of hits this guy with a quick 1-2 and then dips out and gets the other two to finish him.
Yeah,
that was
leaves it to Jiro to kind of have her moment.
That was killer.
Yeah.
I loved and it was again another teamwork moment by Bakugo, right? Because it was very MVP. It was very he made the smart play.
He made the play, and also it shows, because he kind of comes off as this asshole a lot of the time, and like how he calls people insects and they're they're lower than him, but when it came down to the moment, he left the trust, or he trusted his teammates. He knows they're competent, and it shows that he's not that much of a prick as he kind of comes off as. So it was nice to see okay, you guys got this. This is, and not a matter of deal with it because I can't. It was no, always move forward. You guys have this. Awesome, Bakugo. Thank God. We really needed this character development for him.
Big time. He was due. Oh, yeah. And then after letting Jiro and the tape guy finish off the welder, he goes in for this glue guy, and this is the scene I was thinking of. He says something like, it's hard fighting in winter, but I'm finally warmed up, and he is just swarming this glue guy. He just that was a really cool sequence. There's even more cool sequences coming up, but him, that glue guy, whose name I'll never learn because I'll never see him again.
I don't know his actual name.
We might, who knows? But yeah, he surrounds him again, kind of talking about or bringing back what you were mentioning earlier about how he uses his quirk to really become super mobile. Yeah. He kind of surrounds this guy with blasts super fast, and then as this guy's trying to figure out what the hell is happening, Sugar Rush comes in and pulls off a decent armbar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We'll say the technique wasn't perfect. He didn't have his legs across the chest completely. He could have tucked the arm into the armpit. But relatively decent armbar.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then that's two
down
back to back. And then he goes after the sword guy.
Yeah.
And
who I think at this point was kind of impaled into a post, and I feel like he just drops down just in time for Bakugo to slam into him, or I might be misremembering that.
No, I think you're right.
Kinda,
because he attacks, at the beginning there, and then Bakugo counters, and then when Bakugo blasts him away, I think he got himself stuck in a pipe or something.
Yes, gotcha. And he keeps calling him a bug. He goes, "Oh, bugs are quick, eh?"
Bugs have quick reflexes. That was also pretty good.
So Bakugo.
I really like when they lean in. When they make him quirky and an asshole or not quirky, witty and an asshole.
Yeah.
That's better than just being an asshole.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he goes down, Tape Guy shows up. This is where, because when they're tracking down, this is one of the most impressive things I've seen in the episode, animation wise. It's when they're tracking down the lizard girl. Bakugo, because it's there's obviously stuff going on with Jiro and Tape Guy and all that, but when Bakugo is kind of in the sky looking for her, you can see he's going in one direction, and Jiro points her out. I think I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but anyway, Tape Guy tracks her. There's not much to that there. It's kind of a cool moment using the support items.
This is the one I was saying earlier. They gave Tape Guy a moment, but it was oddly long. He basically just breaks it. For what it's worth, he seems to have an aha moment.
Yeah.
Right? And he aha is the fact that her, long story short, she has to either bring her parts back to herself or they're gonna die, and then she has to regenerate them manually.
Yeah. And
he sees her play coming and he attaches the item to it.
But the point that the thing that blew me away was when Jiro finally points out where she is, she reveals herself, Bakugo's going in a different direction, and in it's animation, so the editing, it's visually, but he takes a half second 3-point turn by using his quirk and then guns for her. And I was like, holy fuck, man. It's such a little thing, and it's so minute, and it doesn't really matter. It's just the art form of being able to do something like that with the animation. It's it's not even a big Sakuga moment. It's not some.
It's these little details, right, that set it apart.
It's a little detail, and it's they didn't have to do that. They could have just cut to him on her, charging his fireball, doing the Kamehameha, about to blow her away. But they do that leading into it.
He got to use his X catapult on the
the lizard guy
right
yes,
before
that's
that.
Right.
He turns into the little tornado thing. I thought that was going to be his grand finale, but no, he gets to Kamehameha, the lizard chick.
Yeah.
That was a really cool misdirect teamwork moment as well, right? Because Tape Guy, throws the grenade at her. She gets out of the way just in time, runs right into the Kamehameha.
Yeah.
That was pretty sick.
Love it.
They dusted it. And then I think they say at the announcement, or maybe before I say that, I love the quick line the lizard girl says, you've changed too much. And then Bakugo's immediate response is, I haven't changed at all. My goal has always been the same: surpass All Might, become the number one hero.
Love it.
Yeah. It's still unmistakably Bakugo. They 4-0 him. I think the announcer says under 5 minutes.
And what I love is because even Vlad, how he's so one-sided, but even at the end of the fight, he's just whoa, everyone. And then the moment where they even cut a musical cue when All Might kind of walks up to Bakugo at the end, and it was flawless victory. You could tell it was a father. He was so proud of Bakugo, and of course Bakugo is fuck you, dude. Yeah. But no, it's my favorite part of the whole episode is at the end when they're kind of going reviewing the team, and Aizawa just throws the thumbs up and killed it.
Nailed it, bud.
And then move on kind of thing.
All right.
Great.
Yeah. I'm not gonna shit on you for this. It's they have Midoriya gets in on that moment with All Might. The three of them kind of have a small back and forth. They kind of reinforce that the competition between Midoriya and Bakugo is alive and well. Yeah. So Midoriya says I'm gonna do it better, more or less. Which is good. And then we do some math on this is really complex, so try and keep up. but mathematically, Class B can't win anymore, right? They can force a draw, though. So if they win in this, if they beat Midoriya's team, then the whole exercise will be a draw, which, like, I feel like might be coming. Who knows?
You think so?
Well, I don't know. I am not a fan of draws. Like,
No.
anything. No. I mean, no one is, right?
Sure.
At least if you take a loss, they'll learn from it. But
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know.
The counterpoint to that is they've really hit home how much everyone there has learned.
Big time.
So I feel like they can make the justification of a draw and not be like a sour taste, but it's like, does Midoriya really need a loss? Is that like I guess
I feel like he's taken a lot of L's.
Because they kind of had that weak little moment at the beginning of the season where he didn't is it Amaki, the one of the big three, it was very beginning of the season where they kind of introduced everyone. Actually, it would be like earlier in the day in the show when they're fighting the big three, and then Class B shows up. They're fighting against the girl. It's like Miria,
right.
the training
Midoriya, he hesitates in a moment.
He hesitates, and then he gets his ass kicked out of it. And they tell him, this is a real exercise. Like, you got to go all out kind of thing. So
they also did some really weird, what I think might be like kind of over the head foreshadowing again. I hope I'm wrong, but like they mentioned like, the last time Midoriya faced Shinsho, his quirk was weird.
Yeah.
But like it was at the time, like no one viewed that as a weird negative, it's acting up kind of thing. It was like his quirk saved him.
Yeah.
And it, now we're aware of why. There's that whole Vestiges storyline that we haven't even touched. But like, maybe, I don't know, maybe that was some weird foreshadowing to like, be like, his quirk's gonna act up on a mid-match, which would be like the most My Hero Academia thing ever. But I don't know. That was a weird thing. I kind of. I don't know why. I don't know why Shinsho would pull that out of him. I don't know.
Yeah, I really hope, because we've been, because you and I have talked about this before. We want a little, not an update on the Vestiges situation. We want progression. We want to see something of substance.
Main plot.
I hope this is not just like a backdoor way of getting a little more concrete info that leads to a loss because Midoriya is wrapped up in whatever he's seeing.
Right.
I think that would be very lame.
That'd be a pretty cheap way of doing it.
Yeah, and like when making a draw, and then everyone, it's all happy because everyone's on the same page. We're all learning together. Like, I'm the same way. Like, I want to see a win or I want to see a loss here.
Something definitive, and and then we have time to explore maybe something a little bit more interesting, a little bit more dark, a little bit more central to the whole theme of the show, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That'd be nice to see. The show pretty much wraps up on Class A realizing their team's a little weak, other than Midoriya. They've got the guy with the balls on his head? And,
Minata. Grape juice. Or is it grape juice? Yeah, grape juice.
I think it's scrotum face, isn't it? No, okay. They've got Minata and the Okachoko Uraka.
Uraka, yeah.
And the girl with the toxic semen.
Pinky.
Yeah. So the three of them and then Midoriya. So it feels like it's somewhat similar to Bakugo's team, but it feels like they're a little bit nerfed. I don't know.
But they really set up the fact that like Midoriya is gonna be the bait, and these three who have not like lackluster abilities, but they're not some of the other class.
Yeah,
I feel like they are going to be the reason they win. It's not going to be Midoriya. I think Midoriya and Shinsho are going to have their fucking moment jerking each other off on the other side of the arena. And it's going to be the other three like having like a clutch win on Class B. Like, it's, I don't know.
It'd be interesting because, they've all had good moments. These three characters have all had moments before. They're very capable.
Absolutely.
And Class B, on the other hand, they immediately on their end, like, we need to target Midoriya.
Yeah.
So
too focused on Midoriya, which I think is might allow the other three to kind of sneak a win.
Yeah, I would, we know what's coming. This is what's interesting about this thought is we know what's coming and it's Shinsho, right? So
Yeah.
I would like to see some innovative ways to work around his quirk, some kind of ways to communicate, maybe non-verbally, like something. Like, Midoriya is the guy with the notebook. You know what I mean? Like, let's put some of that knowledge to work.
Yeah, he's a big brain. He's always thinking,
I would like to see, like, some innovative way of, like, working around that and shutting him down. Shutting Shinsho down. So that's next week.
Yeah, next week. It feels like there's like we're getting to that. There's excitement going into the next episode, not just because it is Shinsho and Midoriya, but the show themselves are presenting something big coming, which is nice. So, but yeah,
looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening. We'll be back again next week, same time, to cover the next episode. If you're new here, thank you for listening. Please feel free to follow the podcast, like, comment, subscribe, wherever you feel appropriate, and check out the post show. We keep going after this one, and we record an episode of the post show that we release a couple days after this episode. And that's just a little bit more of a laid-back episode to talk about whatever else we're watching this week.
Lots of anime, lots of other shows, music. It's been a nice grab bag of stuff over the past few weeks. It's been a lot of fun. We're really liking it.
So yeah, check that out as well. And thank you very much for listening. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.